Now, I want to let you know something before I review this game. I want to let you know this is personal. This is really personal. Uh, my dad is not known for actually playing a lot of games, but there was one game that him and me got along so much with. Especially when I was like in middle school. This game was just everything to me. This series was everything to me. I want to relive those memories. And I'm doing that right now as I'm playing the second one. But I just finished Ratchet and Clank, that was like I think months ago, as I discovered like, the arts of emulation. And pretty much I knew I had to actually check out a PS2 title that I love so dearly. I mean, there's so many PlayStation titles, specifically like PlayStation 2 and 3 games that I grew up with that is, not only for me that I love personally, but my dad and pretty much my stepbrother, like, a lot of my family that loves, that enjoy these games, that saw me, that either buy it for me. I remember like, playing Ratchet and Clank so much. I always rented in Blockbuster back in middle school. And it got to, and one Christmas, my parents finally got me one. As I was, playing the renting version of Ratchet and Clank, they decided to actually buy one. I was like, okay, might as well buy one, and and I got it right there. And I wish I kept the case. It was so long ago. I don't know what happened. We moved so many houses from abroad and all that. But man, Ratchet and Clank, that is such a childhood of mine that, I love so much. Ratchet and Clank itself is an interesting game for me. I mean, the same thing with Sonic. I grew up with Sonic. Sonic was something part of my childhood, and I mean my childhood. I mean, shoot, even even when I was born, like, I remember Sonic X, and and 4 Kids, and also Sonic on the Genesis, when I was like being held on my grandma's, pretty much just playing the game, and also just literally being this 2-year old that for some reason is actually somewhat good at the game. I was surprised that I passed level 1. I do remember that. But let me tell you, like for Ratchet and Clank, this is something else for me because it's a game that I played. But when my dad sees me and comes through, like, comes through the door, he would be like, okay, my turn, and he would just jump right in, and I would just be watching him play it, and we would actually play together, see all the levels, witness all the characters from Quartet, from Dr. Quark to one of the other side characters, from the introduction of how like Ratchet and Clank meet each other. Those are memories. I'm sharing memories of like how this game affected, I guess my relationship with my family during that time. And it means a lot. It really does. And that's why talking about this game, I don't know what it is, but it feels way too personal to actually review it and talk about it. Is it the best kind of like storyline? Is it the best kind of like game platformer that I played so far? And as a platformer kid, as someone that grew from platformers, let me tell you, I know I discovered myself somewhat being good at platformers when my friend Stefan, we were both playing games, and we would always come true playing retro games whenever he comes through the house and something when we hang out. From we would play Halo, we would play like other like Metal Gear, and pretty much like Wolfenstein. And then, he when we got to playing Ratchet and Clank, because we both played Ratchet and Clank, we were playing Ratchet and Clank, like, what is it called? Deadlock, because it had a multiplayer mode. And we played it, and he was so bad. He could not platform at all. And I remember seeing like I maybe because like it's something that he's really not used to at all. But for me, I was just, already almost finished to the ending and stuff. But those were some times where I'm just like, I knew that platformers, like from now thinking about it, I played so many, and pretty much one of the popular games out there are platformers, Sonic, Mario, like Sly Cooper during those days back then, and Ratchet and Clank, of course, and Uncharted probably might count as a platformer, maybe, maybe not. and some unknown ones that are, that just like kind of really affected within the gaming, like, indie ones like Cave Story or Ori's Black Forest and Hollow Knight, and the list goes on of just these other platformers that just come around. But one of my favorite ones will always, like, either, like, like, of course, like, you have Crash. Mario's, I'm not a big fan of Mario, but I do remember, like, I would just play Mario and finish it in one day. Like, I really enjoyed a lot of Mario, especially during the GameCube days and also the DS days. But when it comes down to, PlayStation specifically, because, I'm team PlayStation. A Nintendo, I do have a Switch and stuff. I like Nintendo, and I've been playing a couple like Xbox games. But PlayStation has always been a console that I played nonstop. It's my childhood. It's pretty much where I discovered myself as a gamer, especially through the PS3, where I really start to, really get good at it. And it's just been the console, especially it's because of Ratchet and Clank. It's everything. This game is just like, it means way too much for me. It's so personal a lot of times. And, if you don't like it, it's okay. But for me personally, now thinking about it, it's like, it's like a home. It's like a, I remember this. I remember when I was this age and I used to go here and stuff like that. I look at Ratchet and Clank, this game particularly, as like a home that I never really forgot, and I always remember. The discovering the weapons, the selecting your weapons, and also the levels, the planets that you go around. And I was never into sci-fi, but for some reason, when it comes down to Ratchet and Clank, I was just it was almost as if I saw Star Trek and Star Wars almost, which I did in the past, but it would almost feel like I was sort of like discovering more of that world, even though this is a different universe, which is, being the universe within Ratchet and Clank. I mean, now, like, thinking about it, it's just like there is so much memories of Ratchet and Clank, from, the Battle of Nexus, Tools of Destruction, from the PSP games, especially the Clank one, and also specifically PS2. Basically, almost every game in Ratchet and Clank in the PS2, I just couldn't stop thinking like, man, these are my stomping grounds right here, because I remember these moments, the shooting mechanics, the platforming of or the abilities and the gadgets that comes around within the levels, and discovering these levels, and also the plot lines, and also discovering more of Ratchet as he, used to be this angry individual, but then especially becomes hatred, like, towards Clank, but then slowly becomes friends, slowly getting along, and you see their relationship sort of evolve throughout this. But let me tell you, like, Ratchet Clank is still going. I mean, I'm not sure if I enjoyed the movie. I do remember the movie coming out. I don't remember reviewing it. But also, like, especially Rift Apart, a game that I want to play. There's a lot of Ratchet and Clank games that I still want to play. Half of the PS3 games I want to play, half of PS4, and also, like, list goes on for sure. Like, let me tell you, like, it's a long list, and the amount of game series just goes on for days for me. Like, because I'm still a gamer in heart, but because that I love stories, I love going into the worlds. That's why I do these reads and stuff, because I just want to be part of it. You know what I mean? And it's like an escape for me. This whole time as I am reviewing Ratchet and Clank, like, it took me a while to actually ever get to reviewing this, because I finished the game like months ago, and I was gonna actually, talk about it and stuff like that, but I couldn't have the right words. But here I am, just winging it and just telling you, how this game basically means to me. And, that's just what I wanted to share. Because Ratchet and Clank itself will always be a 10 out of 10. It's such a perfect, and this is just basically a love note to this game, to what it brings, and how it opened my eyes. Like, there's so many series within, the PlayStation, uh, console, that really kind of made me sort of see gaming more and more than what I realize. And, for a lot of people, let me tell you, you'll be surprised at how much Ratchet and Clank means to them, because it means so much to me. That's for sure. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz. And yeah, that's me and Ratchet and Clank. And I'm gonna be talking about the rest of the Ratchet and Clank games as I come back to them. But I really want to get this out of the way. I want to actually get this out of my chest, and just tell you that I love Ratchet and Clank. I love it a piece.